5月20日，蒙郡家长联合会联手李嘉信纪念基金和乌腾高中，邀请到了4位蒙郡本地华裔、现任蒙郡公校系统 MCPS 的高级社区伙伴合作关系主任 Eileen Chan Baxter、美国桑 TV 总裁 Alan Wu、目前在国防部工作的蔡珍，以及大学毕业后在华尔街工作的孟江。他们用自己的人生见解讨论如何在美国发挥自己中西合璧的优势，更好地融入这个多元化社会和取得独特的身份认同。
So I know that after all those wonderful stories, a lot of them, it's really giving me a lot of thoughts, and I know the audience probably have a lot of questions as well. But I will be the first one asked, so I get to ask all my questions, then it will be audience time, okay? And I will start with Elaine. I know that it's your passion, but oftentimes I think our parents always worry the kids if they're not doctors, they're not accountants, they're not engineers. How can they make a living? How can they afford a house, get married, have kids, support their life? So have you ever thought about in your choice that what teachers, sometimes they're poor teachers, Did you get enough money to, So how did you think about it? Have you struggled with the choice you make?
I have not struggled at all. And when I worked for Montgomery County Schools, and again, there are lots of jobs in our school system, and I didn't know this, my parents didn't tell me this, I wasn't really worried about money. So I feel like if you're following your passion and you're doing something you enjoy to do, and then you know how to be responsible, your parents teach you, you got to pay your bills and you're just a responsible citizen, that you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. So lucky for me, and people probably didn't think of this, in 30 years I get to retire from the school system, I will have a pension. And if you think about I'm not going to tell you how much money I make, I probably get 60% of that amount. So just play with the numbers in your head for the rest of my life. 30 years, I started at 21 years old, I'm retiring at 52. And I will have good money coming to me for the rest of my life, and also really great health care. So at 52 years old, I'm going to retire, I'm going to move with my husband to Colorado, and we're going to pursue other life things and enjoy life. So you think about the low amount of money now, you don't think about pension now. Whether or not that's still around down the line, that's something that you guys have to think about. I never thought about that. My husband pursued becoming a law enforcement officer. He too has a pension. We didn't know about that. We didn't think about healthcare. My healthcare is better than his healthcare, so he's jumped onto my healthcare. So if you think about it, some people, private business, whatever, you have to keep on investing your money, investing whatever. You're not going to have money coming to you without lifting a finger. My 30 years of dedication, my husband and I are going to make more than 6 digits in retirement when we both retire, coming to us without having to lift another finger.
So you're basically encouraging people joining to be a teacher?
No, because I want people to pursue their passion. Whatever your passion is, that's your drive and that's what you're going to be good at. If you're forced to do something, then you're internally at turmoil. I want people to be happy about what they're doing and happy with their own life choices, and not be forced into choices that you don't believe in your heart.
Great, thank you very much. So that comes my 2 engineer panelists here. Did you guys choose engineer, or your parents choose the engineers for you?
Actually, I got a lot of influence from my father. He was a material engineer. So when he spent a lot of time doing a lot of lab research and things like this. So he loved to take me along with him every time when he goes to the lab. I still remember at that time, I was a little kid and I watched this movie called Star Wars, right? So those of you still remember the old Star Wars. I walked into the University of Maryland Material Engineering Lab and I looked at the building. I said, wow, this just looks like a starship. The reason being is that they had no ceilings. All the pipes and everything is just hanging around. It just looked so cool to me. So I said, wow, I want to be an engineer. And no doubt in my mind, I had no idea what material engineer was. I didn't know what he was doing. But when I was a little kid, I loved to take things apart. Okay, let me tell you my process. At the very early stage of my life, I took things apart. I couldn't put them back together. And then later on, I took things apart. I can put them back together, but it doesn't work. And then later on, I can put things apart, put them back together, and it works, but there are some pieces left on the table. And then at the professional stage, I took things apart, I put them back together, and it worked very, very well. So when I was in college, when I applied for college, I had no doubt in my mind that mechanical engineering is something that I would love to study. And during the 4 years of mechanical engineering, one of the ways that we pay our tuition, we have a group of people that study mechanical engineering. One of the ways that we made our tuition or made our living is actually changing oils, tuning up engines for our colleagues, for the community. And at one point, we were actually modify engines so much that we went out there racing with Beetles. You understand the old Beetles, right? The old Beetles actually have the same engine mount as a Porsche 911. So at one point we took an old Porsche 911 engine, put into a Beetle, we go out there to race with some kid in DC. And they had no idea. They said, wow, you're racing with me with a Beetle? I knock you down anytime. I said, well, come on, let's go, let's do it. So that is the fun. I love to see how things work. I couldn't get into electrical engineering because visually I cannot see it. I have to see things, I have to see how things work. So that's the reason that I picked mechanical engineering. And that is the reason that I joined military, got into the Navy as an engineering duty officer as well. And at that time, it was my dream when I walked into a ship. For those of you who see a car, the piston, have you ever seen a piston in your car? Just a little ding-dong thing right here, right? You get into a Navy ship, that piston is this. And you actually literally, you have to get inside of the piston, you clean the piston wall. And that was my dream.
This is going to be a very fun topic. It was easy for me to determine what major I want to do, but before I talk about why I chose it, I want to start with a couple years before that. So and I'm going to have to write this message to the kids. You guys probably know our parents compare ourselves to other kids, right? This kid is majoring in this kid is studying this kid is studying this, and so you're like, oh my God, my parents are telling me this, what do they actually mean? Are they really right? And I don't want to judge on what they say, but they're probably not right. And for many reasons, because our parents grew up, and my parents, they are born in the 1950s and 1960s, and some of them, a little bit later, earlier, whatever the year is, but their experience based on their background. And ask them, did they want to do stuff they didn't want to do? And did they do stuff that they were told to do, but they don't want to do? And the answer is going to be no. So I really like what Elaine said, follow your passion, because this is not something I figured out when I was 17. I figured out later after I joined the professional world, right? There's a difference between passion and interest. If you had to make two columns of passion and interest, everything you do right now, listen to music on iPhone, is it a passion? Is it an interest? It's probably an interest, unless you really love music and want to be a music major. I play soccer just recreationally for fun, but to me it's a passion, because if I don't play, my life is miserable. So if you can take things out of your life and you don't feel bad about it after maybe, let's say, a couple months, it's really not a passion, because you can live without it. But if certain things that I take away from, for example, if I take away from your life right now, you say, oh my God, I just can't deal with this. My life is miserable, I want to do it. There's probably a passion. It is a passion. So while you're trying to figure out, in high school, because I'm sure when you're 17, you're junior high school, teachers ask you, the kids around you, you guys all talk about what we're going to major in college. Just remember this, what you major in is probably what you want to study, what you're interested in. It may not be your final profession, because I'm an engineer, Alan's an engineer. We both just happen to chose the military industry, the defense industry, but there's so many different industries out there. Back then, I think the oil industry is coming up, petroleum, right? But think about how the market is for the petroleum industry right now. It's like a roller coaster. It goes down, it goes up. It's not safe. And safe is a word that our parents always tell us. So my job is very safe. Consider that, as long as our country is still here, it's safe. Right? We have a defense. If you have a country, you need a defense department. You have a defense department, you need engineers. But to me personally, safety might mean different things. But so when you're trying to figure your passion, it doesn't come just right out like that. It might take several years. So, and this is something you need to talk with your parents starting maybe freshman year in college, in high school, in high school, and just over the years just figure out what is really a passion, what is really an interest, and what do you want to study in college that can help you get there, because you're not going to get there right after college. I'm still pursuing things I want to do. I'm still trying to learn new things, and because the world is changing, the industries are changing. So just by having a 4-year degree doesn't really define you. It just starts your life. So, so going back to me, it was easy for me because I guess, I still remember this conversation. My parents asked me, what do you want to major in? And all the eyes are looking at me. Don't say psychology. Don't say English, because I'm an immigrant. I'm not good at English. Why would I study English, right? But I had an influence of growing up because my dad's a mechanic. So he's fixing cars, I'm just helping him out. So a lot of influence just helped me to pick engineering. And also I like math, I like physics, I like the complexity of things. So mechanical engineering was a no-brainer for me. I don't regret it, but I do regret not studying business in addition to engineering when I was in college. So really just talk to yourself, ask yourself, make a list. Sometimes writing things down can really help. What do you want to, what's a passion, what's an interest? And start shuffling between the right and the left to see what you really want to do. So a passion is really something you should pursue.
So I guess now the last question, of course, would be Su-Yen to answer that in your choice of MIT and also going to work at New York or the financial sector, what's in your decision making, or if any Asian or Chinese parent culture success definition, safe definition that play into your decision making, or you still trying to figure out?
That's a great question. I guess that's kind of a natural question following up what the previous panelists are talking about. So I would say two things. One is that, well, the choice of going to MIT is probably a more passive decision because I was young at the time. I was deeply in Asian culture. I was good at math. So I did a lot of math competition, physics competition in the school, in Wooten, in this room actually. And I went to MIT. But in the college, it's where, I was talking about the real struggle, how it begins. Like, I have to look for my identity. I have to look for the meaning and to look for, what's the real important thing for a person besides, being recognized and praised by Asian parents, right? So, Asian parents always compare people with people, but after you really become a grown-up, you have to think about it yourself. So, where numbers can be plugged in and it be, beneficial to the society? Of course, engineering is a great place, but I was taking some economic classes and I figured out that, economics and, the markets is also a great location for the numbers to really serve the society. Because the one principle of economics is that if the two sides are exchanging, they're making trades, it's a free market, both sides are getting benefits from it. It's as long as it's a free society. And people always think about, the evil bankers wanna, do all this conspiracy and wanna get everyone bankrupted and get themselves rich. But I really think that's a stereotype. That's a bad insight. Actually, banking is the core of economy. It's really producing huge amount of value and fueling the economy in its own way. It's an industry has been there for 500 years, starting with the medieval Italy, right? And if you want to say one of the safest industry, yes, it's a safe industry because it's been around longer than a lot of countries. So even countries fall, the banking still exists. But it's more than that. It's more about the value that being provided. It's not only an evil capitalism, but it's also, we think about the free markets, the value it creates, and it's very personal. So our CEO, Rich Fairbank of Capital One, his vision, his slogan is to change banking for good. Because he really sees the value here of bringing you know, how to serve the community, how to really serve the personal value using banking as a channel. So he's every year's, you know, annual meeting with all the employees, he's really emphasizing on how to contribute that and you know, making that as the mission of every person in the industry. So.
Thank you. And I know we try to save some time for the audience question, so we only have 20 minutes for the last one, so I will give each of you 5 minutes about sharing if you have one story, something life events that you want to share the audience about being immigrants, being Chinese background, Asian background, and also being make it out all the way. So in your life, something that really you want to share or let the audience at least learn from you, what would that be? So I will start it from Elaine. 5 minutes, okay? So we'll be timing. So as soon as 5 minutes, I'll cut it. No, just kidding, just kidding. Yeah, just one thing in your life that you want to share with the audience that you think you make some benefit to them.
Or a story. Or a story to share.
Again, my messaging really was about just letting your kids pursue passion, and I think having some open and honest conversations. I think sometimes it was hard with parent pressure to have some conversations, and so sometimes I didn't, to this day, tell my mom some things that I probably would have liked some advice from a parent. So I think for those of you in the room, build those relationships and build that trust, and don't be so mean that your kid is afraid to talk to you, because they need your advice when you're going through life events. You need that guidance. You know, again, I'm telling you to pursue your passion, and you guys are, for you, the kids in the room or high school students, you're so young right now, and your life events are going to mold you. You don't even know what you're going to experience yet. You're going to experience a handful of things, and that's going to impact you in profound ways, and that's going to drive you. So college is just the next step in the rest of your life, and you don't have to figure everything out now. And that's why I'm saying, bring your kids up right, have some moral standing, have a sense of responsibility, don't drink and drive. My neighbor actually killed someone, so you know, I kind of drank and did not take that seriously until my neighbor actually ended up killing someone. So you're not invincible. You know, if you feel like too much pressure, go home and talk to your parents about the pressure that you're experiencing. Parents kind of let off a little bit. You know, your parents put this pressure on you because they want the best for you and they want you to be better than them. And so I don't know how families find that balance. So I guess those are some of my messaging.
So you want to, so we can go, yeah.
So the message I want to share here is about the identity. So I know that we have a topic this session about how to identify yourself as an Asian American or Chinese American. I mean, I'm obviously the youngest person here. I can only share what my thoughts and what my experience are. So when I came to United States, for the first few years, I can only be friends with people who really speak Chinese. I can communicate with them, be friends with them, and share my struggles and my happiness with them. And after a few years, I get some more ABC friends who is still Chinese, but they speak English, and we communicate in English. And after the real change happens after I go to work, and now I joined a church, American church, where a lot of people most people are Caucasian and some Asian American, but not from China, but it's a mix. So what I figured out is that, I was sharing with one of the reporters at the beginning, is that we probably should not start with identity thinking about you are a Chinese, you are an American. That's a more ideological approach, while we should start with our little environment. First of all, I'm a member of my family, right? I'm a son, I'm now a husband, and will be a father. How do I, portray and be a role in that? Like, that's something to be explored. And I was students in MIT. I'm now an employee in Capital One. Like, that's another group of relationships I need to deal with. I need to interact. And now I'm a citizen of the United States. How should I serve my country? I'm a Christian. How should I serve my church, my community? That's something to be explored. So identity is not something that's fixed. It's something that's flowing. It's it's the problem we have to solve in our life, right? We're struggling, we are figuring out, and that's kind of we are walking a path leading to the destination. So to kind of select or predetermine something, I don't think that's a good approach. While thinking about our kind of special generation in the United States, like we are like before our generation, there's not much people like us, right? Because the Chinese Americans are a little bit different socioeconomic class of ours. I think it is to our responsibility and vision to really explore what's our identity and what's our mission is. I think that's more of a problem for us to discover, an answer for us to seek, rather than a predetermined answer. So that's my thoughts on this.
Okay, I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to cut it into 2 stories, and 2.5 minutes for each story. Okay. So I want to share with you, the first story is, I remember the first day I got into officer candidate school. 60 people of us. We went in, we put on our brand new uniform, they shaved us, okay? And then we all have lined up on the ground, okay, on the outside of the building. So now it came with our drill sergeant, okay? This drill sergeant, I still remember his name is Sergeant Whitefield. Big, huge Marine. Came into us and looked at 60 of us. And he said something that I carry today. He said, the 60 of you are 60 pieces of carbon. You guys are dirty, you guys are brittle, you guys are weak, you guys worth nothing. But after this 13 weeks of officer candidate school, I'm going to turn you into pieces of diamond, because you are United States Navy officers. You will go to war, and you need to be a diamond in order for you to lead your troop into the battle. So I remember that very, very vividly, and even today, I talk to myself, every time when I run into any difficulties, I'm just a piece of carbon. I'm in a process of being a piece of diamond. So the message that I would share with our younger generation, our high school student, is that you are in high school, that is the comfort zone. This is the most comfortable life, most comfortable period of your life. When you get out to the real world, you will see a lot of pressure coming down to you. You will see a lot of heat. And when you are in high school, your teacher, your parents will tell you, don't fail, you need to get good grades. But I'm here to tell you to learn how to fail. Learn how to take pressure. Learn how to take heat. Learn how to take objections, because that is the real world. When you go out there and work for somebody else, they're not going to pat you on your back and say, hey, good job, you know, you do a wonderful job. No, they never say that. So what you need to learn is, through this period of time, you need to very, very clearly to see yourself that, tell yourself every day when you get up in the morning, I am a piece of diamond. I'm born to be a diamond. And I'm meant to be a diamond. And throughout my life, I'm actually walking toward that diamond. And when I buy a piece of diamond for my wife for that wedding, it cost me so much money. But then you think about this. I am a 160-pound diamond. How much am I worth? So that's the first story. You are a diamond. I'm a diamond. We all work toward a goal. Now, the second story that I would like to tell you is that I was a young Navy officer, got out of training school. So I was assigned to this ship called USS Baton, okay, LHD-5. You can do a Google search and you know what the ship looks like. It's a pretty cool ship. I love that ship, okay? That is in 2003. We were actually heading to the Gulf. So all of a sudden, one day, the antenna doesn't work. We're not receiving messages from the carrier group. So we have to go out there to fix it. Now, obviously, there's a lot of protocols that you guys have to go through. We have to go through and things like this. And a whole bunch of us sitting in meeting rooms, and we have the chief, we have the department head, and everybody's to talk about what's going on with this antenna, what's going on, how do we fix it, and things like this. And now we are all sitting there waiting for our skipper. The skipper is actually the captain of the ship, okay? He walked in, didn't say anything. He walked in, slammed his head on the table. Don't tell me the pain, give me the baby. I learned that too. That is a very good philosophy behind this. Don't tell me the pain, give me the baby. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot of moms in this room, okay? When you carry that baby, when you go into the delivery room, do you tell the doctor, say, oh man, this thing is so painful, can I not deliver? No, you can't. Nobody's interested in your blood. Nobody's interested in your mess. Nobody's interested in the pain that you're going through. But everybody's interested in what? That baby. You need to deliver that baby. No matter how difficult it is, you need to push it out. Nobody can help you. You are the only one that can help yourself. So that's one thing that I learned from the Navy. Another thing I learned from the Navy is that, yes, we can identify problems, but in real life, don't go up there and tell your boss. Don't go up there and tell a teacher, oh, this thing is too hard. This thing is too difficult. I don't know how to solve it. It's your business. Your goal is to solve that problem. Your goal is to deliver that baby. You need to learn this thing. You are a piece of diamond and you need to deliver babies.
That was pretty awesome. It's always, yeah, I can't read that. But it's always good to go last because I can add things that I didn't think about. I learned from what they said. So it's always good to go last. So I'm okay. I've actually a lot to say, but I'll try to focus the things I will have to say last around the topic knowledge. But before I do that, I want to show you what I just drew over here. This is a box that says Asian American culture, and the circle is you, and you're inside that box. The second one is you're the circle, and the box is Asian American culture and is inside of you. So which one do you think is you? Is the Asian American culture box framing who you are, or is the Asian Asian American culture is inside of you, defining who you are, but you are still yourself? Which one is it?
Circle or the square?
So yeah, the big circle or the big square?
One
Big
is
circle,
you
right?
inside, and the other one is you
Right.
outside.
So I really don't want to make it sound like our parents are psycho-parenting, because I'm not a parent yet and I have no rights to say that, but I do want to say the message to the parents. Do not use rules to define the box. Tell us stories that things happened in your past, the Cultural Revolution, the hardship, the 3 years of starvation, whatever that is in China. Tell us what it is. Let us learn from that. And China has come through so many years of history, 5,000 years, right? Tell us stories that you know, because stories are interesting. And so going back to the circle one, the circle is who we really are. The culture is defining us. So let me ask all the kids a question. And I know some of the terms I might use may not sound very pleasant because, you know, there's stereotypes in school. Kids don't know better. They use weird, unpleasant terms. Raise a hand if you think you're more Chinese than American. And raise your hand if there's no wrong answer. I guess everybody can, then not just to the kids. And raise your hand if you think more American than Chinese. There's only one choice, okay? But really, you're both. And more than both, you're a global citizen, right? So my wife recommended a book to me. Dear honey, raise your hand. So she recommended a book to me called The World is Flat. because Columbus thinks the world is round. But somebody said, the author said the world is flat. So I really recommend you to read it. I don't want to spoil it. Because it really, you know, history textbooks are boring. Who thinks they're fun, right? So read that book. It really cuts it short to the chase and help you understand how the world has evolved to today. And you'll understand why are we a global citizen and how can we use our Asian or Chinese American culture inside of us to make us a better person. But if you don't have that, then you're just yourself. You have no culture. Or you think you just have American culture. If the American culture has helped you more to becoming who you are, then use it. And if the Chinese culture has helped you more to becoming who you are, then use it. If both, use it. But do not have no culture. Right? I think I still have a few minutes left. There's actually a lot of stuff to say, but I'll cut it short. And I just have a few recommendations. I guess that's what some of the questions that we've talked about. So stories are important because they're interesting. And interesting people tells interesting stories. So collect them. I mean, I don't have as much stories or fun stories as Alan, as Elaine. And everybody has different stories. Not that one's better, one's worse, one's more interesting, one's less interesting. Collect them as you grow. Collect them as you step into your life, move on with your life and career. Just keep collecting them because that's what's important. And also, hold on a second. Doesn't matter what kind of hardship you run into. Doesn't matter, you think your parents have said something to you that you don't understand. You think they're just using standards or other box to frame you again. It's all, just communicate with them because you can have a lot of questions when you grow up. And I know our parents always tell us, or it might even contradict a little bit to Alan's message, but it really doesn't, because Alan's message is trying to say, count on yourself, you gotta get it to work, right? But when you're growing, you're having that growing pain, and you're like, oh my God, what should I do? You should really leverage, right? Leverage, in a simple sense, is try to get help. So it kind of goes against my parents' teaching. My parents, I'm not sure, other parents, but my parents tells me in Chinese, 人都是要靠自己的, because that's how they have came along. There's no resource back then. The communism part didn't help them at all, right? But when I got here in 1997, still not as much as resources as you have right now. I think there might be a setting like this. I probably didn't know about it, or we were so busy working. I was working too, helping my parents. They were working 3 jobs or 2 jobs. They have no time to seek out help like this. So with the resources that we have nowadays, just leverage. And leverage is many ways. Ask for help from parents, from friends, from mentors, from siblings, from friends. And the resources that school provided, the community has provided, because it's important. And I do want to share one last story about, it's my own story because I didn't really appreciate American culture until I stepped into the workforce. Before then, 2 years in middle school, 4 years in high school, just staying in school, learning stuff, good at math, I guess a general stereotype. And just enjoying a lot because we were young and naive and things were just fun. We do things what was fun to us, right? But really, why I really understand American culture is because when I started working, I work in a remote military base, very small town, not a lot of people, and not that it's only male dominant, like 10-to-1 ratio. I'm not kidding. I had to come back to DC to find my wife. There's no chance over there. Other than that, it's a very male, white dominant community. So how do I survive with such a limited perspective that I developed in college and high school? So in a way, I want to cut it short. Is that as much as we say, oh, Americans, they're not like us, right? Right? We always say that. But are we like them? Say the statement backwards. Are we like them? Why should they be like us? Can we be more like them? In the end, we're in their territory, if you want to put it that way, right? But really, it's our country too. And that's why here we're seeking better life. So I get to really know my coworkers and the more older coworkers, younger coworkers on a very personal basis. Why do Americans like beer? I never knew. They brew beer for fun, and there's so many stories inside it. And you can go, discover. There's so many more stories. They make beautiful things at home out of wood. They do a lot of different things, and we would hang out. We were after work, get to know each other better. You step into an American kitchen versus a Chinese kitchen. The utensils are different. The seasoning is different. I never knew those names, but why shouldn't I know them? I'm in America, right? So I think that 10 years, actually 7 years in the base, the town around base I was living, I really get to know the American culture. So the community that we live in right now, you guys say it's the Asian community, American community, it's really the both. So we should give back as well, I think. Share our stories. That's how we get. Just share stories. You don't have to, if you're not good at doing certain things or whatever, just share your stories. What stories do you have that may contribute to it? Because I think everybody's interested. A lot of times when we feel, we're not really the same type of people as Americans. They might feel the same way because they don't know about you, as you don't know about them. So you guys are saying the same statement and have that wall between you. Just break that wall down. Share your stories. Talk about, for example, we like Asian food, right? Food is always a good topic to break barriers, to break the ice. How do we make that food? Right? Why do we make the flour differently than Americans? They like to know that. I think they're interested. If the person loves cooking, they will want to know. So through your interest, talk about what you know about your interest that's Chinese specific, and have them share about with you why do they use so much cream and butter in their food. All right? You'll find a lot of good stuff in it.